Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Thursday, December 4th, 2025. I'm Errol Lewis, and we begin tonight with some breaking news. According to multiple reports, a grand jury has declined to re-indict State Attorney General Letitia James on mortgage fraud charges. That comes 10 days after a federal judge threw out initial charges against the Attorney General. Ms. James was initially charged in October by the U.S. attorney installed by the Trump administration, replacing a previous prosecutor who resigned under pressure to bring criminal charges against James Comey and Letitia James. Letitia James denies any wrongdoing and accuses the administration of using the justice system to seek revenge against Trump's political opponents. Meanwhile, in March of last year, a 12-year-old Queens man was shot and killed by police in an incident that sparked outrage from some corners of the city. Today, the state attorney general announced that she will not be seeking criminal charges, that is, against the officers in that case. Our Courtney Gross joins me now with more. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Errol. This case, the shooting of 19-year-old Win Rozario, really disturbed and shocked much of the city. And the state attorney general, Letitia James, decided today that she would not be seeking or bringing criminal charges against the officers in this case, a case that really shined a light on how the city and the NYPD in particular respond to mental health crises in the city.
He's having an episode.
It happened in less than 3 minutes. March 2024, officers Salvatore Longhi and Matthew Cianfrocco arrive at 19-year-old Win Rozario's home. Rozario experiencing a mental health crisis. He had just called 911 on himself.
I think my son is on drugs and he's acting that erratic.
And within minutes, he picked up a pair of scissors, and officers fired 5 times in front of his mother and little brother.
Get out of the way!
Now, 20 months later, the state attorney general's office has concluded its investigation into the incident, and it has determined it will not pursue criminal charges against the 2 officers who shot Rozario. The report found the use of force justified in this case, as Rozario had come at them initially with a pair of scissors. It states it was reasonable to believe the officers feared Rozario would come at them again, and investigators could not disprove that fact beyond a reasonable doubt.
We all deserve safety in our homes and communities.
For months, advocates and the Rozario family have been calling for the Attorney General's office to pursue charges against the officers in this case, a case that shook the city in the spring of 2024. The family has since sued the city. In a statement on Thursday, the Rozario family said State Attorney General Letitia James's cowardly decision not to indict NYPD officers Matthew Cianfrocco and Salvatore Longhi for murdering our beloved son and brother Win Rozario feels like we're watching Win get murdered all over again. The NYPD should not be engaging with people experiencing a mental health episode. Advocates had similar reactions.
We are absolutely horrified and disgusted with how the Attorney General has chose not to indict the officers.
This whole board is someone which read the cases, looks at the investigative reports and all this, and they make a conscious decision about any case, Rozario case or any other case.
In September, the city's Police Oversight Board, the Civilian Complaint Review Board, substantiated misconduct charges against the officers for improper use of force and abuse of authority. They are headed to a departmental disciplinary trial. In the Attorney General's report on Wednesday, the office recommends the city increase its mental health response teams, known as Be Heard. Mayor-elect Zoran Mondani has pledged to remove the NYPD from mental health calls. And we did reach out to the mayor-elect to determine what his reaction was to today's decision, and we did get this statement from him. We can pull it up here. It says, Win Rozario's death was a senseless tragedy that brought pain to so many New Yorkers, most of all his loved ones. The NYPD is holding a disciplinary trial for the 2 officers involved, which is the correct course of action, and I closely await its outcome. What today's decision does not change is our obligation to do everything in our power to ensure this does not happen again, our commitment to delivering the social services New Yorkers deserve, and our investment to both genuine public safety and justice for all. We should also note, Errol, that we did receive a statement from the police officers union, the PBA. They said they are grateful for the Attorney General's decision today, that these police officers were placed in a quote, incredibly difficult situation and forced to make a split-second decision. And they hope the NYPD's review of this case will continue to follow the facts and the law.
Doesn't the patrol guide call for officers in a situation like that to request mental health treatment or personnel?
It's not a requirement according to the patrol guide. The way that things operate now is when you are dealing with someone who is in mental health distress, you're supposed to isolate and detain the person and really try to separate themselves from the rest of the people involved, especially in this case, obviously separate Win Rozario from his mother and his little brother in this scenario, which is not exactly what happened. I think the attorneys for the lawyers or the PBA in this case would say that and the police department itself after it happened would say that the events in this situation were unfolding so rapidly it was difficult potentially to do that. We should note that there is something called de-escalation training that the NYPD officers are all required to do, and that is to try to calm things down, slow things down, try to talk to people in mental health distress. And in both of these cases, the officers had received that training.
Okay, thanks very much, Courtney. Mayor-elect Mamdani today was serving hot cocoa and answers to reporters' questions at an event to push his housing agenda before taking office. The transition with current Mayor Eric Adams was a hot topic on this chilly day. Our Dan Rivley was there, and he joins us now with the latest. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Errol. Hot cocoa, frozen rents, get it? So Mayor Mamdani was handing out the hot chocolate and using that to promote the core part of his campaign, which is freezing rent on stabilized units. And then he took questions from reporters, and it focused on the transition and his reaction to actions from Mayor Adams in his final days in office.
The cocoa was hot. The rent frozen if Mayor-elect Mamdani gets his way. And his relationship with Mayor Eric Adams, cool, responding to 2 new executive orders from Mayor Adams in opposition to Mamdani's politics against Israel's government.
The mayor is free to issue as many executive orders as he'd like with the less than 30 days that he has in office, and then we will be taking a look at every single one once we actually enter into City Hall.
Mamdani was unaffected by reports that Mayor Adams is considering appointments to the Rent Guidelines Board to head off a rent freeze for stabilized apartments. And Mamdani said he never asked the mayor about it during their private face-to-face meeting earlier this week.
We did not have that conversation. I am continuing to be confident, however, of our ability to fulfill the promise we've made to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants.
Mayor Adams on Staten Island dismissed any suggestion he's trying to sandbag Mamdani, reminding reporters he's still the mayor.
I follow the rules of the charter, and the rules of the charter states, Eric, you're the mayor until December 31st.
Adams also defended the 2 new executive orders. One prohibiting discrimination against Israelis and Israeli companies in city contracting, and NYPD protocol for protests outside of houses of worship after this vitriolic protest near the steps of a Manhattan synagogue last month.
What happened a few weeks ago was despicable, and it should not happen.
Then there is Mayor Adams' funding for 5,000 new police officers, thousands more than Mamdani wants to hire or thinks is even feasible to hire. When asked whether he felt Adams was sandbagging him,
I'll let the mayor speak for himself.
Yes.
New York One asked whether he'd direct the NYPD to maintain order during protests of ICE operations. This one from Canal Street saw demonstrators arrested for disrupting a federal operation.
I think the NYPD's job is to keep order, but it's not to assist immigration agents in the work that they are doing.
Another policy from Mayor Adams, Mayor-elect Mamdani plans to spike homeless sweeps. That was the directive from Mayor Adams for city workers to take down homeless encampments to keep them from popping up on sidewalks and in parks. Errol?
So, yeah, when it comes to these executive orders, they don't really have the force of law. The subsequent mayor could just kind of undo them. It's really just kind of a preference that the mayor is instructing his agencies to follow.
I think you have it exactly right? It instructs the agencies to do that. Now, there are rules and laws against discriminating against people in companies seeking city contracts on the basis of national origin. So, of course, Israel would be covered there. But as far as making your agencies adopt that as a formal rule through these executive orders, sure, yes, Mamdani could undo it, and anyone who feels they're being discriminated against, they can take it up in court. So, yes, Mayor-elect Mamdani did not explicitly say he will rip them up as soon as he gets into City Hall, but he definitely says he's going to review whatever Mayor Adams had done.
Okay, thanks very much, Dan. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso has announced a run for Congress next year, trying to succeed Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez. We'll take a closer look at that. Also tonight, we will bring you a report about the ongoing scrutiny of a boat strike in the Caribbean. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Spectrum TV, isn't that only live TV?
No, it's only all my favorite streaming apps with live TV.
Okay.
It's only all included at no extra cost. And that's the magic of math. Will this be on the test? Sure. Why not?
It's only one simple payment for all our TV. We gotta simplify and win. Winning is equally important.
If not, more so.
Yeah!
Only Spectrum TV, fixed TV.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You're done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. With less than a month to go before their terms expire, the bad blood between Mayor Adams and the City Council continued today, with lawmakers overriding 4 of the mayor's vetoes on different topics. Our Kelly Mena joins us now to break down the votes. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Errol. And this is not new between the mayor and the City Council. Those vetoes coming as expected a couple of weeks after the mayor tried to reject them.
Madam Speaker, the council votes to override the mayor's vetoes with 2/3 voting in the affirmative.
That was the moment the council overrode 4 Mayor Adams' vetoes. The move is a reminder of the ongoing tension between the two sides of City Hall.
This council has remained steadfast in protecting New Yorkers and putting their interests first. And today is just another example of our commitment.
The overrides were over legislation covering pay equity, payments to nonprofits, and the city's rental assistant vouchers, known as City FEPs. The legislation would require that rental contribution not exceed 30% of the household monthly income, amid new rules that would have increased the contribution to 40%.
Let me be clear, there is no New York without working people. It's our responsibility as government to ensure that all New Yorkers can lead lives with dignity, opportunity, and safety.
City Councilwoman Tiffany Caban, who sponsored the bill that would require big corporations to submit annual reports on pay data, applauded the overrides.
I'm proud to join my colleagues today in overriding his bid to impress the billionaires he's soon going to need a job from. And when we shine a light on inequity, we create the conditions to end it.
Despite the overwhelming support for the bills, there were some concerns.
I'm all for the data, but I just want to warn people it could be a major burden for some of the employers.
Councilwoman Gail Brewer and Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse both expressed reservations over the reporting requirement on pay equity. The Adams administration has maintained that the bills are a burden and not a boost for the city. In a statement, First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro said, "These 4 bills are nothing but an attempt by the City Council to undermine any future mayor's authority, burden businesses with unenforceable requirements, and encroach upon the state's jurisdiction around social services. As we round out the year, we hope that the City Council will work with us on meaningful changes to make New York City a safer and more affordable place to live." Former Speaker candidate Councilwoman Crystal Hudson pushed back on the administration's criticisms.
Our responsibility is not to protect any mayor's legacy, it is to protect New Yorkers. These bills passed with overwhelming support because they address real needs in every district represented in this chamber.
And ironically, Mayor Eric Adams came back into town just in time before those veto overrides happened, coming back from Louisiana from a trip away, Errol.
And so, look, I'm sure the council members, they appear to be very happy that they got their way, but in some ways, this does not point to the functionality of government, right? I mean, they're in the same building, they're supposed to be negotiating. It's really not supposed to come to this often. That's not what we've seen in prior administrations.
Yeah, Errol. I mean, for the city council and the mayor, this has really been emblematic of their relationship, these constant veto overrides. This is the one, this stated meeting has had the most veto overrides in one, but we've had one where there was 3, where there was 1, where there was 2. I'd say almost a dozen in this last 4 years between Adams and this really progressive council. They haven't been able to agree on very much, and when it comes to disagreements, it leads to this ultimate showdown between both sides of City Hall. One side calling the other side trying to take over their power, and the city council accusing the other side of the same thing. I think for many people going into this new administration and a new city council speaker, they're hoping to see more collaboration than dissent.
As far as you can tell, were there any last-minute attempts to basically move past the override, meaning calls to certain members, try to get 4 or 5 to maybe flip their votes?
No, I don't think it was in this case. These bills passed originally a couple of weeks ago with a veto-proof majority. So if there was a moment to change votes, it was at that time and in that effort that they should have done those things.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. I'll be talking more about this later tonight when I'm joined by City Council member Diana Ayala. Also tonight, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso has set his sights on Washington, D.C. Today, Reynoso launched a campaign to represent New York's 7th Congressional District, where incumbent Nydia Velázquez is set to retire in a year. And while he is the first candidate to enter the race, Reynoso could soon face an opponent who seems to be a favorite of the mayor-elect. Our Ayanna Harry spoke one-on-one with Reynoso today and joins us now with the details. Good evening, Ayanna.
Good evening, Errol. He's known as a son of South Williamsburg and as a son of immigrants. He wants to go to Congress to work towards abolishing ICE, but Antonio Reynoso could be in for a tough fight in his effort to represent New York's 7th Congressional District.
I stand before you being able to run for Congress because of what the United States did for my family. And I want to be able to pay that forward.
The son of Dominican immigrants and a native of South Williamsburg, Antonio Reynoso was hoping to go from Brooklyn Borough Hall to the halls of Congress. The borough president is the first candidate to enter the race for New York's 7th Congressional District, with longtime Representative Nydia Velázquez retiring at the end of her term.
I'm a deeply progressive elected official, and I consider myself a reformer.
Reynoso's running with a clear vision of what he hopes to accomplish in Washington, from tackling the affordable housing crisis to addressing immigration enforcement.
Abolish ICE and make sure that that's not something that is representative of this country.
As Brooklyn Borough President, Reynoso fought to keep child care centers open and allocated $45 million to address maternal health disparities at public hospitals in Brooklyn.
Black women were dying at a much larger rate than white women while giving birth, and we wanted to change that.
I did note with great interest that he decided to jump in the race.
While House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told Spectrum News he might not make an endorsement in the race, he still praised Reynoso Thursday, calling him
a well-respected public servant.
New York's 7th Congressional District stretches from Long Island City and Queens to Bushwick, Brooklyn. Hofstra University's Larry Levy believes this race could be seen as a measure of which direction city Democrats are headed in.
It's also going to be progressive versus progressives. You know, there are Democratic socialists, and then there are just Democratic progressives, and they're not always on the same page.
Reynoso isn't the only Democrat eyeing a run for New York 7. New York One sources confirm Queens Assembly member Claire Valdez is weighing whether to enter the race. Valdez is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, as is Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Asked about the race Thursday, Mamdani spoke highly of Valdez, but stopped short of making an endorsement.
I think Assemblymember Valdez is someone who's been an incredible public servant.
And Reynoso told us he has met with DSA leaders, and he is optimistic. He's hopeful that he will be able to garner their support, Errol.
So, yeah, it's a big sprawling district, and it's only been represented by one person for, you know, really a generation at this point. So it's not clear, but do we know if Nydia Velázquez has a favorite in this race?
We do not know that. Nydia Velázquez is really known as someone who has mentored several younger elected officials, including Antonio Reynoso. So it's unclear if she will go with one of those mentees or if she might perhaps feel torn because she's played such a pivotal role in so many of these young elected officials' careers so far.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of a free-for-all because it's an open seat and this only happens once a generation. We've seen this in some other districts. There'll probably be a lot more people getting into the race, I imagine.
Yeah, we mentioned Claire Valdez, also Councilmember Tiffany Caban. She's another name that's been floated and that I've been hearing from different sources as someone who could be weighing this race. But as you mentioned, this is an incredibly diverse district. So we could see lawmakers and interested people jump in from Queens as well as from Brooklyn.
Okay, thanks very much, Ayanna. We are going to take a break now, and when we come back, Governor Kathy Hochul has until the end of the year to decide if she will sign or veto a proposed law that would make physician-assisted suicide legal in New York. We'll bring you a report in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters on your smart TV and connected devices, streaming live 24/7, plus on-demand weather forecasts to help you stay prepared. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News, free with your Spectrum subscription, exclusively for Spectrum customers, now available on your favorite devices.
It's only a hike. It's only made possible by Spectrum Business connecting healthcare providers of all sizes. Like hospitals relying on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network with industry-leading reliability. Practices keeping patient data safe with advanced security. Pharmacies accessing records in the cloud without fail. It's tailored connectivity solutions built for life-changing moments. It's only a hike. It's only everything. Spectrum Business.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time.
And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan.
Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York One to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood. Because our city never stops moving.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first,
stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Before the clock strikes midnight on December 31st, Governor Kathy Hochul must decide if she will sign or veto a proposed law that would make physician-assisted suicide legal in New York. The bill is backed by family members and advocates of loved ones with terminal illnesses, but it is opposed by a handful of medical groups and by the Catholic Church. Tonight, a group of opponents hosted a candlelight vigil outside the governor's Manhattan office to bring awareness to the legislation. Our State House reporter Bernadette Hogan has more in this report.
Of many unsigned bills waiting for Governor Kathy Hochul's signature of denial or approval, one measure could legalize physician-assisted suicide in New York.
This is a very challenging moral question for individuals.
Now, Hochul is considering editing the bill that passed quietly last spring by the state legislature. Details confirmed by New York One include requiring terminally ill patients to videotape themselves asking for the life-ending prescriptions, mandate a psychiatric evaluation, and ensure it's only available to New York State residents.
I'm not discussing bills that are still being negotiated.
Backed by the State Bar Association, and Corinne Carey from the advocacy group Compassion and Choices, who said in a statement she's against any changes, adding, quote, New Yorkers should not be forced to suffer needlessly at the end of their lives. We remain confident that we can reach language that honors compassion, protects bodily autonomy, and reflects the strongest evidence available. New Yorkers deserve nothing less.
That is why I've taken the time and am treating this very seriously, because I know there's very heartfelt, strong emotions on both sides of the debate.
If signed into law, mentally competent, terminally ill adults with 6 months or less to live could request the medication. Witnesses, not related to the patient, who don't stand to benefit from an inheritance following their death, would need to be present. And 2 doctors must sign off.
We have to continue to give a positive witness, be prophetic voices.
Opposed by the Catholic Church, medical and disabilities rights groups, some held a rally against the bill outside Hochul's Manhattan office on Thursday.
The governor has had tremendous work in suicide prevention, and signing a bill like this that puts our most vulnerable neighbors in danger of being abandoned by their doctors is counter to everything that Governor Hochul has been doing.
Arguing the proposal presents a slippery slope.
Whether you can't afford it or you can't access the treatment for it, it can become terminal. If you don't manage your diabetes, that can be a terminal condition.
Pointing to data from Oregon, where the law has been on the books for decades.
For reasons of disability and not wanting to be a burden on their loved ones. For able-bodied people going into their doctor and saying they feel like a burden, they would receive appropriate mental health interventions.
If Hochul approves the bill, New York would join 11 other states and Washington, D.C.
That was State House reporter Bernadette Hogan reporting for us tonight. It is time for a break. Coming up, I'll speak with City Council Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala about how and why the City Council pushed through 4 bills today that had been vetoed by Mayor Eric Adams. Stay with us.
In Focus with Cheryl Wills, a weekly show discussing decisions and potential solutions for issues making an impact in your community and your city. If it's important to New Yorkers, then it's being talked about here. In Focus with Cheryl Wills, Sunday mornings at 10:30 on New York One.
It's only a slice. It's only made possible by Spectrum, connecting businesses of all sizes, like small businesses, instantly serving up orders and inventory on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network, and factories, seamlessly connecting to farmers in the field with tailored solutions that always deliver. It's only a slice. It's only everything. Get your business free fiber-powered internet forever. Call to find out how.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. As we reported earlier, City Council lawmakers voted to override 4 bills that were vetoed last month by Mayor Adams. This comes with just weeks left in Adams' term and could be the final chapter of his ongoing battles with the City Council. One of the 4 pieces of legislation would have capped rent contributions from city housing voucher recipients. Joining me now to talk about that and much more is the lead sponsor of that bill. It's Deputy City Council Speaker Diana Ayala, whose district includes parts of northern Manhattan and part of the South Bronx. She's also the chair of the Committee on General Welfare. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Always happy to be here, Earl.
Explain what went on with this housing voucher bill. As the chair of the Committee on General Welfare, which deals with things like rent assistance and homelessness, why was this specific legislation important, and what was the controversy all about?
I mean, this is a very important bill to me, having been the recipient of, voucher programs such as Section 8 and the first iteration of the City FEPS voucher, which was the JIGGS program. I know, really well how much 30% of my income, was, meant to me, right? It was a lie because it's a gross income that they're calculating. And so half of my, one of my checks of the month went on paying rent. Increasing that, from 30%, that was 30%. So increasing that to 40 was going to really create a financial burden for families that are already strapped, because we're talking about some of, the most low income families that qualify for the voucher to begin with. So what we're saying is, like, this policy change doesn't make sense. It's going to put people back in shelter. Let's keep it at the 30%. The administration said no. So we legislated it. So now it's capped, and they are not able to, consider the 40%, moving forward, which is a good thing for New Yorkers that are, really strapped for cash these days.
Where was that coming from? Was that from OMB? Was it from social services? Who in the administration, as far as you can tell, was pushing for this change to require people to give up 40% of their income as a way, before, I guess, giving them the voucher?
I think it was both offices. I think that they have been, communicating about how to make the program sustainable. The program is growing, very rapidly. It is the second largest subsidy program in the city of New York. So there is reason to be concerned about, how we're going to continue to fund this moving forward. But I just, we didn't feel that this was the right approach. We felt like, we agree with you. We need to figure and identify funding sources. Not in this way, though. This way would just be detrimental and could possibly, force families back into shelter.
We have only a few weeks left until a new administration takes over. The mayor has not spent a lot of time here. He's been off to, Albania and Israel, Uzbekistan, New Orleans. What's the feeling in the council about all of this? What's he up to?
I don't think that we care anymore. I think that we gave up on that a long time ago. And I think that the relationship between the council and, the administration has never been, a good one. From the beginning, they set a tone that, they were, free to legislate and change policies at their discretion, and they didn't need us. And so I don't think that there's any love lost on this side, and we haven't missed him.
You're going to be leaving office in less than a month after 8 years in office. What will you be doing then?
8 years in office and 20 years in the council. It's going to be very bittersweet. I love the work that I do. I'm very grateful for the platform to be able to move issues that have impacted me and my family and continue to impact many members of my community. And I'm I'm exploring several options. I want to be able to do something that, I'm happy doing and something that's meaningful and actually effectuating change.
What would you say to other young people who are considering public service, either at the staff level or as an elected candidate?
I would say that this is the best thing that I've ever dared to do. Every step of the way I have been afraid of government, of being able to put myself out there. But I think that, again, these lived experiences have have served, I think, the people in my community and in other communities citywide well, because they had a representative voice that actually understood the issues from the inside and understood the nuances that, contribute towards us not being able to fully help families when we have the tools to do so.
Your chief of staff, Elsie Encarnacion, is going to replace you on January 1st. She got elected. What's your main message to her in particular about what needs to be done in your district?
I mean, the good thing about the chief of staff running and winning is that she's already up to date with all of the issues. She knows all of the people. She has been a part of all of those discussions, funding related, legislative conversations. So I think that, that's an advantage to the community because she'll hit the ground running. But my advice is always make it your own, right? Because I legislate and I do things my way based on my experiences. And I'm sure that she, will have the opportunity to do the same. And I want her to have that freedom, without the shadow of, the deputy speaker or the former speaker, shining a cast over her tenure in the city council.
Okay. It is looking like the next speaker of the council will be Julie Menon. We had some reporting that down at Somos, you were suggesting that you'd had a conflict with her back when you both ran for speaker in the past. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was going on there, and do you think she'll make a good speaker?
I'll answer the last question first. I believe that she will make a good speaker. I don't think that she's unable or unqualified to do the job. My issue, and I thought that it was important that that other members understood, was that character is also important. And I was very hurt and offended by comments that have been made about whether or not I was competent enough to be able to lead this body. I find it ironic because here we are, 4 years later, and I'm the deputy speaker of the city council, and I have been sitting in the same rooms, making the same decisions, sometimes, more so, right, than some of my colleagues. And so I think that it's important that we also consider, right, a person's moral compass before we're making these decisions, because these are people that are going to potentially represent, millions of folks. And many of them look like me, and many of them come from communities like mine, and they sound like me. And we may not have gotten here in the same way, but we're still here, right? And so we should be supporting each other and, not using zip codes, right, to make the distinction between good and bad and, smart and not.
And I guess in our last minute, what would be your advice to the incoming mayoral administration as it takes shape?
Yeah, I would say that they need to listen to New Yorkers. They need to continue to listen to the voice of the people that are impacted by our policies and our funding priorities. There are a lot of outside voices that, get involved in the politics of City Hall. And they think that there's a space and a place for all of those folks as well. But primarily, we're here to serve the people.
Okay. Well, you've had quite a career. We've always enjoyed talking with you. You were one of the people who, if you didn't make history, you certainly were close to unique in having at one time been homeless and then sort of risen to the heights of power in guiding the city forward. And we're going to miss your voice. Do stay in touch with us. Let us know whatever your next chapter holds.
Will do. Thank you so much, Errol.
Okay. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, a Navy admiral told lawmakers today that media reports about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's orders to kill survivors of a boat strike were not accurate. We'll bring you those details in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer.
I'm so honored to be a meteorologist here at New York One because as a Brooklyn kid, this is the station that I grew up watching. Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our weather on the ones. Watch the New York One weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything. Movies, series, sports, reality, news.
Here's a look at today's top stories.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
And even more of your favorites with live TV. Stream across your devices and enjoy anywhere.
See you later.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
My father was a New York City firefighter. My mission, like his, is to serve New Yorkers in a city that doesn't stop when the sun goes down. Being with New York One since the beginning, I'm now honored to join you even earlier each weeknight. Starting at 8 with New York Tonight, we'll explore the latest news developments, followed by New York One at 10 to wrap up your day. So join me each weeknight starting at 8 right here on New York One.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. In Washington, D.C. tonight, military leaders showed lawmakers video of a controversial missile attack on an alleged drug smuggling boat. The attack has touched off a firestorm after 2 survivors were killed by a subsequent missile launch. The admiral who oversaw the operation told lawmakers that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth never issued a kill-them-all order, as had been reported. But at least one congressman who saw the video calls it deeply disturbing. And that's not the only controversy swirling around the defense secretary. Spectrum News national political reporter Taylor Popolars has the details in this report.
Navy Admiral Frank Bradley briefed lawmakers behind closed doors Thursday about the controversial follow-up missile strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service.
Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, said the video of the September 2nd attack shows 2 survivors of the first missile strike in, quote, clear distress, which many experts say would legally forbid a second strike.
Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, the Republican chair of the Senate Intel Committee, offered a different take.
The first strike, the second strike, and the third and the fourth strike on September 2nd were entirely lawful and needful.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has defended Admiral Bradley, saying the follow-up strike was necessary and legal. Lawmakers in both parties said the admiral claimed there was no, quote, kill-them-all order from Hegseth, which the Washington Post had reported, and Hegseth has denied. Hegseth faced another controversy Thursday as a report by the Pentagon's Inspector General on the Signalgate scandal was made public. It says the secretary's actions created a risk to operational security that could have resulted in failed U.S. mission objectives and potential harm to U.S. pilots when he sent details of an upcoming military strike in Yemen to a group chat on the messaging app Signal that accidentally included a journalist. Hegseth declined to be interviewed in the probe, claimed in a written statement he declassified all the information before sending it, and would not provide investigators his personal cell phone, which the messages were sent from. Hegseth posted online, no classified information, total exoneration, case closed. Democrats on the Senate Armed Services Committee disagree. Connecticut's Richard Blumenthal posted, any other Department of Defense employee would be fired, lose their security clearance, and would likely face prosecution for doing what Secretary Hegseth did. Most Senate Republicans are largely standing by Hegseth.
They just never liked Pete Hegseth from the get-go, and it's just a never-ending stream of nonsense to try to undermine him, and it's not going to work.
Hegseth has faced calls to resign since he took office in January, but President Donald Trump has continued to support him. Reporting on Capitol Hill, Taylor Popolars, Spectrum News.
We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, I'll be joined by a candidate for state controller. Adam Buncadecco has entered a crowded Democratic primary field next year to challenge the incumbent, Tom DiNapoli. We'll talk about his campaign in 2 minutes. Stay with us. Here's the deal. People need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 on Spectrum News New York 1. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day with in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
My time at New York 1 has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Kirkland.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on The Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
Let me ask you something. Do you know what the New York State Comptroller does?
No. Should I?
I notice it on the ballot sometimes.
It's important, right?
Sounds like you're doing some money. I want money.
Yes, that's all true, but there's more than that. The Comptroller oversees our money. $254 billion state budget, one of the largest pension funds in the world, part watchdog, part investor. More important, this office decides how public dollars move across New York and beyond.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. That was a portion of Adam Bunkadeko's campaign ad as he seeks to unseat State Controller Tom DiNapoli, who's been State Controller since 2007. Next year, DiNapoli faces an increasingly crowded Democratic primary field after a relatively challenge-free 18-year tenure. My next guest is one of those challengers. Adam Bunkadeko is a former 2-time congressional candidate and a former nonprofit organization leader who is hoping to challenge DiNapoli next year. Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
It's good to be back.
Let's catch everybody up. What have you been doing over the last few years? You were the CEO of Coro New York, which is a leadership training organization.
Yeah, I was. Through the pandemic, leading the organization through some interesting challenges, but helping to expand our programming to a broader set of leaders. And afterward, you know, part of the reason why I'm even deciding to run is, you know, I had a sick father. My dad has Alzheimer's, and we don't come from a rich family, and all of us had to chip in and help out my mom and my sisters. All of us sort of band together. And so part of the reason why I'm running for comptroller is largely around, as you noted, an idea around a trust fund for the children of the state of New York.
Definitely, definitely want to get into that.
Sure.
You mentioned your father, and I'm very sorry to hear about that. My mom passed from Alzheimer's. Very difficult on the family. My sisters and I all had to sort of rally together around that. Your last name, I know some of my viewers are wondering about it. Your parents are from Uganda.
Yeah.
The Ugandan invasion continues.
Yeah, so they say. There aren't that many of us, but I'm glad we're represented here in, civic life. So.
And how did they make their way here?
My parents are war refugees from Uganda. Errol, I mentioned to folks before, my dad came here, $50 in his pocket, clothes he was wearing, extra set in the suitcase, worked at McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, janitor, the whole bit. Went to a detention center, came out, helped bring my mom. I was born at Elmhurst Hospital, and through their courage, their temerity, love, I went through the public schools, got a scholarship to go to prep school, then eventually Harvard Business School.
Absolutely, the American dream in one generation, absolutely.
Yeah.
So why do you want this job?
My mom was asking me the same question. But I think for me, it's really simple. You know, when I first came here to this show, I don't know, 2018, it felt I had probably more hair then. The issues around housing, opportunity, wages, prices, they have only gotten worse. And the comptroller has enormous financial authority to be able to handle and deal with these issues. And right now, that office is on the sidelines when it can be an active participant in trying to mitigate the challenges we see in building more affordable housing, also helping folks on the demand side be able to help pay their rent, being able to help give our children the opportunity to succeed. There's a ton of things that this office can do per the state constitution, and I think we need to be able to do that, and that's why I'm running.
Okay, we'll get to some of the traditional functions of the job in just a minute, but you do have this idea of a seat account for children born in New York.
Yeah.
Explain how that would work. It reminds me of what we've heard about baby bonds and now this new thing that President Trump is talking about, which sounds similar in some ways.
Yeah, I think the concept is effectively, look, at the day you're born, do we give you a seed account? At least in my concept is the trust fund would enable us to invest in our children the day they're born. You know, we'll call it $1,000 to $2,500. And over the course of time, at age 18, you can go buy a house, you can take care of a sick parent, you can start a business, or you can put a down payment toward your home.
The idea is that this money, even if it's only a couple of $1,000s, would be compounding, similar to, say, a 529 account?
Exactly, exactly. And look, I think there are a number of states who are evaluating. The Maryland State Comptroller, in fact, convened a panel recently to bring folks together around how to be able to do this in Maryland. So I think this isn't unique. I think New York can lead the way, and I think members of the Assembly and the State Senate, in fact, tried to bring legislation last year, and I think we can try to find that funding by investing unclaimed funds.
If there's discussion about it going on in Albany, has the incumbent, has Mr. DiNapoli been part of that conversation?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Why do you think he's gone unopposed for so long?
I think it's a function of the sort of culture of Albany. I think a long time, I mean, you know, Shelley Silver, Joe Bruno, those are the folks who helped choose him. And I think that culture is what has permeated in our politics for a long time. I think over the last couple of years, we have seen, as you have been a pretty astute observer of, I think that culture has changed quite dramatically, at least here downstate, but across the state as well.
When talking about, I guess, the core functions of the office, the comptroller is the sole trustee of the Common Retirement Fund, which I think is close to almost $300 billion. Yeah. They had an estimated return of 5.84% over the last fiscal year, 10-year annualized return of 7.74%. Could you do better? Do you think that's an okay return?
Yes. Well, I don't think that the 5.7 return, I don't think that's a good return at all. I think we can do better, but I think we can do better by also investing in the core sort of public goods that we need here in New York. Affordable housing. I mean, this is some of the most valuable real estate on earth. It's hard for us to imagine a world in which we can't honor our obligations to retirees and be able to be catalytic in creating more affordable housing. I think, too, in terms of being able to, again, bring hydroelectric power from Canada into upstate New York. I think we can not only revitalize upstate, but we can also make sure we're bringing down energy costs here in New York and in Long Island.
Well, explain that. How are you talking about something other than, say, buying shares in Hydro-Quebec or one of the other?
No, I'm talking about owning transmission lines. I mean, similar to the Champaign-Hudson Power Express that's supposed to bring power into from Quebec into New York City. I think we can do the same in upstate. I think doing those kinds of things, I mean, mean, this is not uncharted territory. There are global pension funds that are doing this right now and making a lot of money for their retirees. So we can do the same here and also stem a lot of the structural vexing challenges on housing, on wages, on prices, and on opportunity.
The comptroller is also something of a watchdog over the state budget.
Yeah.
Any particular areas or agencies or policies that you think need extra attention?
Look, I think when you look at the issue that just happened in Buffalo right now, right? Mayor-elect Sean Ryan came to the governor and said, we need a bailout. I think that is a concerning situation in which the comptroller, again, not being on the sidelines, I mean, you look at the fiscal scores of each of those municipalities that are in fiscal distress, Buffalo's not on that list. And so that's a bit concerning that Buffalo is now coming to the state and saying, we need money. I mean, the state comptroller needs to be on top of that. So.
Okay. Tell us, I guess, in our last minute about your path to victory. It's a big state. You're going to go to all 62 counties?
I look forward to it. Yeah, Saratoga, Western New York, Capital Region. I mean, this is a wonderfully big, as you said, state. And I think its diversity is played out in many ways. I mean, Western looks a lot different than Capital. Capital looks a lot different than the Hudson Valley, looks a lot different than Long Island, than the 5 boroughs. And I believe you need to build a coalition that not only cuts across the East River, but goes up the Hudson. And I believe we are the campaign that's best equipped to do that.
Okay. We will see you out there on the campaign trail.
I'm looking forward to it.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
All right. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
That's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything.
Hey, brother. Be careful.
Movies.
I've got this condition where I don't feel pain.
You're a superhero.
No.
Series.
There was another murder in the building.
Sports. Reality.
Here's to a summer you'll never forget.
News.
Here's a look at today's top story.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
Even more of your favorites with live TV.
Welcome into First Take.
Stream across your devices and watch anywhere. At home or out and about. It's the entertainment experience you've been waiting for. Streaming apps included at no extra cost.
Just got that, pal. Get a good look.
With live TV and on demand. All together, all in one place for you to enjoy.
It's whatever kind of adventure we want it to be.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting. With stories that inspire and news that matters on your smart TV and connected devices. Streaming live 24/7, plus on-demand weather forecast to help you stay prepared. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News, free with your Spectrum subscription, exclusively for Spectrum customers, now available on your favorite devices. At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting. With stories that inspire and news that matters on your smart TV and connected devices. Streaming live 24/7, plus on-demand weather forecast to help you stay prepared. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed.